Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. All these videos, they get posted on the subreddit right here. It's called DF Sports with one S. Good thing about this is I'll have this link down below. I forgot if I said that already. Sorry, my memory is really, really bad. But good thing about this is a first look, a video the night before. It's just a first look, right? And getting into the subreddit is where you can interact with me. Like I said, like I answer all you guys' questions. People talk strategy here. I don't know why this guy got downvoted, but I will upvote you. Why are people downvoting? Um, Stop with that, please. But yeah, I make updates with all the news that comes out throughout the day. You can ask me questions about the slate. Anything you need, guys. I will be in this Reddit. It's a really great place to be. As you can see, I reply to all of you guys here. This is my life. I'm here 24 hours a day. I'm in Discord 24 hours a day. It's a sick game we play, but this is my life. So that'll be linked down below. And if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here. All right, let's go into my lineup from tonight. So I don't know why I didn't have that clicked. Let's just find my lineup. Let's just go see what contest I'm in. I know I'm in this one. This will pull this one up, I guess. I'm in a lot of showdown stuff as well, and Jeremy Grant just injured right off the bat. So, yup. And then let's pull up that. So yeah, didn't even stand a chance tonight. Derek Jones Jr. just injured right away. One of the best value plays on the slate, only 18% owned. Trey Murphy, the best play on the slate. He was actually the best play on the slate today at this ownership with no Zion Williamson. Good producer, 4.9K. You're getting him at like a $1,000 discount at this ownership. Gets a huge usage bump with no Zion, huge minutes bump as well. Just couldn't hit anything. Um, I did not feel good about playing Najee Marshall, but he was cheap. I needed someone, and then yeah, didn't even stand a chance. Derek Jones Jr. injured right off the bat, and point Scotty Barnes. Tough matchup. Just couldn't. He also couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. But yeah, once Derek Jones Jr. went down, my night was over. So I entered Showdown, and Jeremy Grant gets injured right off the bat, and my night's over once again. But good thing, if you guys did watch my prize picks video, we swept the board. I also put like $250 on Wendell Jr. I do two bets, like 150 on one, a couple hundred on another. Wendell Jr. PRA, that nuked. All my other picks nuked. So prize picks and sports books carried the day today. And yeah, my core today, it's just Luka Doncic, Derek Jones Jr. injured, and the best play on the slate, Trey Murphy. I told everyone else to get to another Dallas value, Josh Green or Grant Williams. I went to Josh Green, but still didn't even matter. So yeah, pretty luck. What's the I can't say it. Lackluster day for me. But hope you guys had a good night. Hopefully you guys avoided some injuries tonight, and let's get into the slate. But before we do that, if you are interested in joining my Discord, I'll have a link to that down below where I have in-depth content going over each slate, player pools for cash and GPPs, cores, all that good jazz. Link will be below. And then we even still had Conodor fucked up again apparently, but we even had still pretty big days in Discord. Like this lineup absolutely crushed even with Brandon Miller. We had a third place here for $1,000. Two guys I was really high on today. Wendell Jr. and Derek Lively, both absolutely smashed. If you guys watched my video from last night with Maxi Kleba out, I was really high on Derek Lively. So that worked out great for people who played him. And let's get into the slate. So tough matchup here for both sides for the Clippers and Boston. So we'll keep an eye on Paul George here. So I think the idea was to limit him today because they are in fact on a front end of a back-to-back. He only finished with close to 30. So I guess there is a chance he could sit here. But I think, limiting him in the front of a back-to-back was maybe a sign that he will play tomorrow. We'll see. I think there is a chance he will sit here, though. But we'll go over it both ways just in case. So if Paul George is in, I mean, there's not much that stands out to me. If you guys watched my video from last night, I said there was a good chance that the Raptors and the Clippers could both go small. That was the case. They went small, and Russell Westbrook had a really, really big game. Now, I think that could happen again here because Boston, Kristaps Porzingis is doubtful on the other side of this game. So I do think that there is a chance that the Clippers could go small again here. If you think that does happen, I do think Westbrook is interesting, at least for tournaments. I would say he's priced right. But we know he's a really good point per minute guy. We know nobody's going to play him. And, if I knew he got close to 30 minutes, I would like him for tournaments. But there's always risk. Like, you're going to need the Clippers to go small for him to pay off this price point. So, thought I'd mention that, especially with Kristaps Porzingis not playing tomorrow. And the main guys, they're just there for me. They all look similar. It's not a good spot. I'm not going to prioritize any of these guys. They're all playable, but yeah, don't like much. I think my favorite play here is going to be Mason Plumlee. I would expect, around 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more. He's over a fantasy point per minute guy. I think he's solid. Probably going to project for like 22-ish fantasy points, which makes him, yeah, a decent value. We don't have a ton of value on this slate. So, yeah. And I also want to see what did Terrence Mann finish. 30 minutes for Terrence Mann, 26 for Norm Powell. I think Mann's fine. And then Norm Powell at 4.8, I think is decent, does have a ceiling. We don't have too much value on this slate with a ton of ceiling, depending on the Dallas value. So I think Norm Powell is solid. And like I said, I like Plumlee, and Mann is playable. Now, if Paul George is out, then, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, they're both going to look good. I think I give the slight edge to Kawhi, but I think both look good. Still same thing with Westbrook. I don't know if he's necessarily going to get a big minutes bump unless they go small. So same thing applies there. And then we can start looking to like more value here. Then I would like Norm Powell at 4.8. Then we could consider like Amir Coffey. Terrence Mann will get a little bit of a bump. I still like Plumlee. So like keep an eye on that news. We'll keep an eye on it. It's the early game, and I'll make updates on Reddit when we do get that news. Moving on to Boston, so Kristaps Porzingis is going to be doubtful for this game, so they're probably going to move Al Horford into the starting lineup. So if he starts, he's just very, very safe. I don't like this game environment in general, so like no muss here. I just think Al Horford would be pretty safe. Drew Holiday, Derek White. I mean, Drew's potentials are way, way down as well of late. So like he's still stuffing the stat sheet, but like not as much as earlier in the year when his potentials were way, way up. All these guys, I think they're priced right. So Tatum, Brown, White, Drew, Horford, they're all just there. Same thing with the Clippers, no priorities here. If I had to rank them, I think Tatum 1, Horford 2, Drew 3, White 4, Brown 5, I guess. But not going to prioritize any of these guys. You might see a little bit more of like Sam Hauser. Maybe instead of low teens minutes, he gets up to like 15, 16 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Find Dart and Peyton Pritchard to be in the rotation, but don't think I'm going to go there on the slate. This team, bro, this team, guys, I cannot begin to explain how much this team hates me. Only guy I trust on this team right now is Lauri Markkanen. It's a really, really good spot. In a competitive game, he should, keyword should, play mid-30s minutes. It's a phenomenal spot going up against the Charlotte Hornets. I do like Markkanen quite a bit. He is their go-to guy. He's a stat sheet stuffer. Should play decent minutes. A good spot. He's only 8.3K. He's too cheap. So yes, I think Markkanen looks like a very, very solid play at that price point. Sexton Clarkson. So I finally buy into Sexton. The first time buying into Sexton all year. And he plays 17 minutes. And he's playing extremely, I guess he shot 4 of 11. But he was putting up fantasy points pretty good. Here's what I will say about the guards. After seeing last night, I think they're just going to go with the hot hand between both. I really do. So, like, both are strictly just tournament-only plays. If you do guess between which one, you're probably going to have a pretty good night. Now, I have no idea what they're going to do here. So, like I said, more tournament-only plays. If I knew, both got to 30 minutes, I would like both. But, yeah, after the other night with that rotation, I just don't even know. John Collins should play mid-20s minutes. I think he's probably your next safest bet. Walker Kessler got into a bit of foul trouble, so that's why Collins got to 33 minutes last game. But I would say he probably plays mid-20s minutes. Really good spot up against Charlotte. So I think John Collins is a pretty solid play at 5.4K. We'll talk about a center on the other side of this game that I like a lot. Walker Kessler, I mean, okay, here's the thing with the bench. the price points are down. So like some of these guys are going to have a good game, but trying to figure out which one it's going to be is really, really tough. Like Simone was starting off really, really well, and then he just didn't come back. His minutes got slashed. Kelly Olynyk got extended. He played 21 minutes. Like, if you knew Kelly Olynyk played 21 minutes, you probably want him in your lineup tomorrow, but there's always risk. Um, Looking at the rotation, like, let's take a look at Olynyk. So Olynyk played alongside John Collins a decent amount. Walker Kessler obviously got into some foul trouble, and then the game blew out, and Keontae George played in a blowout. So Dunn, in a competitive game, should play around 20 minutes, which makes him a fair value. He was chalky this slate. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it, but if he's low owned tomorrow, I'm good with it. And then already whenever Kelly, Simone's fine. I would say he's priced right. And then if Walker Kessler stays out of foul trouble, she'll play around 20 minutes. I think he's another decent value. But like all these guys, it's just a guessing game. Keontae George, I mean, played big minutes last game, closed in a blowout. But I think normally he's probably only going to play around high teens minutes. All right, moving on to Charlotte. So my favorite play here outside of LaMelo Ball is probably going to be Nick Richards. I do like the spot. He should play around 30 minutes. He's good point per minute, still cheap. I think he's a very, very good center play on this slate. So I'm pretty high on Nick Richards here. Really high on sub 10K LaMelo Ball as well. I think he got into some foul trouble tonight, plus the blowout. But in a competitive game, I do expect him to play big minutes, stat sheet stuffer. With no Terry Rozier on this team, his potential assists are way, way up as well. So I really like LaMelo here up at the top. Miles Bridges is going to play close to 40 minutes in competitive game. I have no issue with him. Solid rebounder, can do a bit of everything. And then Brandon Miller has been playing incredible of late. He got into foul trouble tonight. I would say he's priced right now. PJ Washington overpriced, and then, like I said, I really like Nick Richards today, and then Cody Martin is a fine filler piece for value if you need it. Moving on to the Pelicans. So keep an eye on Zion here. So if Zion plays, no priorities here. I think Zion, Ingram, CJ, all be fine. CJ probably my favorite just because he is the best matchup between all the main guys. But no priorities. Larry Nance started the second half here, so like I think normally he's going to play around 20 minutes anyway. I don't think it's going to help him too much if he starts second half pretty much ever. So I think he's a decent value on this slate. Herb Jones at 4.8 just there for me. Trey Murphy just there for me. Jonas I'm not going to play at that price point. I don't think I go to anyone else. Now if Zion's out, then we got to consider them. So, assuming Trey Murphy starts again, I think he'd be one of the better mid-range plays in the slate, one of the better value plays in the slate. He just shot the ball horribly tonight, didn't do too much. Historically, he's a good point per minute guy. He gets a big bump, he gets a minutes bump. I would really like Trey Murphy if Zion's out and he starts. Herb Jones would be a solid value at 4.8. I would really like Ingram, really like CJ. Ingram gets the biggest bump with Zion off the court. He gains more his point per minute rates go a bit higher with Zion off the court compared to CJ, but both do get a significant bump. Both are 1.25 fantasy points with Zion off the court. So I would really like both there. Jonas doesn't change for me. Like I said, I really like Murphy. Herb would be solid. You can consider a Najee Marshall, and then you could also consider like a Jordan Hawkins. Has Alvarado been back? Has just been out of the rotation, I guess. I didn't even notice that. Moving on to Milwaukee. I think Giannis is always a good spend up. Not the best spot going up against the Pelicans, but unlimited upside. He's been on tear of late. Gonna play big minutes. Legit has triple double upside this year. He is legit their point guard a lot of the times. It's absolutely insane. So I think Giannis does look good there at the top. I would say Damian Lillard is priced right on this slate. And then I like Chris Middleton once again. I don't know why the price point is down on him. He should be a 7K plus player, playing around 32, 33 minutes. Another guy stuffing his stat sheet. Mainly his assists are coming from camping out at the three-point line, just throwing a lob to Giannis in the paint. Giannis just dunks it. But if he's going to continue to do that, his conversion rates are going to be really, really high, right? So I think Chris Middleton's very, very solid. The game environment's pretty ghost, but I think he's too cheap. Brook Lopez will play big minutes, but I would say he's priced right. And then Malik Beasley at 4.7. Minutes up, down, production up, down. If he hits his shots, he does have a ceiling. All right, moving on to Minnesota. So I think this is, I think this is a game we can definitely target here. So like, Really, really good spot here. Pace up spot. Spurs play really fast. I like all three of the main guys quite a bit. Like Ant, Cat, Rudy Gobert. I like all three quite a bit. And been up and down, but normally, another statute stuffer that's going to play close to 40 minutes as long as the game stays competitive. So I really like Ant there at that price point. I think Cat's solid. I think I prefer Ant though, and Rudy Gobert, as long as he stays out of foul trouble, she'll play close to 40 minutes. So like all three of the main guys here from Minnesota, I think Mike Conley's even solid at 5.3K. She'll play around 30 minutes. Probably not going to kill you. Probably not going to win you a tournament, but with not a ton of value, 5.3K. I do think Mike Conley's decent. McDaniel should play huge minutes. Good defender. Can rack up defensive stats. I have no issue with him either. And then I like Naz Reid too. So like if you think Wemby gets, one of the bigs into foul trouble, Naz Reid is going to get extended. He could absolutely crush at this price point. He'll be in the rotation anyway and play high teens minutes. He's well north of a fantasy point per minute guy. So like I like Naz Reid at 4.2K as well. I have a feeling he might be popular tomorrow, and I think that's going to wrap it up for the Spurs. Back to back here, we'll see if Wemby plays. If Wemby plays, I obviously like him. If he's going to continue to play around 30 minutes, he's just still too cheap. Rest of the Spurs don't love much. I think like Trey's fine, Sochan's overpriced, Keldon, his minutes been up and down, Vassell's priced right. Don't like the value. Now, if Wemby's out, that does change things. Then, Zach Collins is going to be one of the best plays in the slate at this price point. Really good point per minute guy that should play a lot. He would be way too cheap. Then, like, the main guys would get a bump. So, like, Keldon, Vassell, Trey Jones, Jeremy Sochan. So, like, Jeremy Sochan, Trey Jones would look good. Vassell would have a ceiling. Champagny would be playable. And you'll probably get, like, Barlow back up 5. Has he been out? They've been going to Sandro. Sorry, guys, I don't follow. I'm not even going to mess with the backup 5. But yeah, let's move on to the Lakers. So Anthony Davis, LeBron James, both questionable. I expect both to play here. Good spot going up against the Warriors too. So AD should be able to feast on this front court with whatever they like to do. It's like he's one of the better spend ups on the slate, in my opinion. I think LeBron's fine too. I think I prefer Anthony Davis, and then D'Lo's just been phenomenal. I know they're probably shopping him in a trade, but he's playing 40 minutes a game. He's just absolutely doing everything as well for this team. I have no issue if you want to keep playing D'Angelo Russell at this price point. I still think he's firmly in play. Reed's more of a filler play. He would be your pivot off D'Lo, but pretty safe to me. Should play low 30s minutes. And I do think Prince is a solid value. We don't have a ton of value on the slate. I know it's disgusting, but should play around 30 minutes with Reddish out. No issue with him at 3.9K. I do think he's solid. Then, these guys like Vanderbilt, Rui, they're both fine values. Vanderbilt, they both should play like high teens minutes. Rui will be more productive, but both are fair values if you need the punts. All right, moving on to the Warriors. Good spot here. So, like, I do like Steph Curry a decent amount for GPPs. I know he's been pretty underwhelming this year, but really, really, really good spot going up against the Lakers. I think he looks like a really solid tournament play. What else? Clay does have a ceiling when he's hitting his shots. Jonathan Kuminga has continued to play 30 minutes off the bench. If he continues to play 30 minutes, he is too cheap at 6K. What else? Podziemski, no thank you. Draymond reached 30 minutes last game as well. We'll keep an eye on if they move him into the starting lineup or if they want to keep him off the bench. But, you give him 30 minutes, he also is too cheap. So, yeah, I'm pretty high on Kuminga, Steph, Draymond. Wiggins is playable. Sarge not really playing a ton right now. And Kevon Looney not playing really that much right now. So, like, I'm pretty high on this Warriors team, and it absolutely scares me. Moving on to Sacramento. I think Sabonis is always a good spend up. Another guy that should be able to feast up against this front court. It's like, I like Sabonis here. Fox is a ceiling. I have no issue with him. Should play big minutes, but I think I prefer the price point on Sabonis. I like Keegan Murray quite a bit. It's just a minutes thing. He's really turned a corner. Kind of like him, Brandon Miller have really turned a corner of late. Also playing huge minutes. Like, I do like Keegan Murray at 6.2K. Monk more of your tournament play between the two. Lastly, Malik Monk was projected to be chalk, and nobody wanted Keegan Murray. So, like, I told everyone in Discord, I'm like, I'd rather play Keegan Murray over Monk. It's just an ownership thing. Now, if everyone's going to play Keegan Murray over Monk, I'd rather play Monk. But the range of outcomes with Monk are way, way up and down, right? He could play 30 minutes, he could play 25 minutes, he could play 20 minutes. But when he's playing well and he does get extended, he has a really, really high ceiling. So intrigued by Monk always for tournaments. This guy, this guy just turned into. I don't know what's going on. I'm not gonna play him. I'll let people chase. But if you want to continue riding the hot streak, by all means, go for it. I'd rather just play Kevin Herter at a slower price point, who's actually a decent point per minute guy. So I like Herter there. Lyles will play around 15 minutes, fine, and then don't love much else. All right, so it solely depends on Kyrie Irving here. We also have Derek Jones Jr., who I don't think will be playing, and we'll also keep an eye on Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber. So like that's pretty important here. So it's hard to say right now. If Kyrie's in, I think it's just like I like Luka at the top. I don't like much else now. Like Green would be playable, Grant Williams would be playable. Lively, I would like Lively if Kleba and Dwight Powell are out. Keep an eye out that news. But if Kyrie's out, we know what to do. Like Luka would look amazing. Tim Hardaway Jr. would look really good. We'll keep an eye on the starting lineup and what they want to do here with Derek Jones Jr. getting injured. So like if they start like an Exum, I would assume it would be what Luka, Exum, Josh Green, Grant Williams, Derek Lively. So like Grant Williams would be a solid value. If everyone's out, I would like Derek Lively once again quite a bit. Josh Green would be a good value. It's like there'd be a lot to like here if Kyrie's out. So that's going to wrap it up for the slate. I hope you guys had a great night, and I will talk to y'all in the next one.